In this video, we will look at Uber data, and using pandas, we will do step-by-step analysis. And along the way, we will try to compute some key metrics. As you can see, this has 150,000 rows and 21 columns. And this is video 1 of 2. And the next video would be a Streamlit app. And as you can see, there are various columns, 21 columns in this data set, and including the driver cancellation reason, incomplete rides, booking value, and ride distance, driver ratings, customer rating, payment method, etc. So like I said, we will try to do a step-by-step analysis using pandas, and also try to compute certain key metrics, and maybe try to create some visualizations out of it. And these are the various key metrics which I thought we will try to compute: total bookings, booking value, average booking value, distance, paid by cash, etc. As you can see, there are so many of them. And any kind of data analysis project, we have to make sure that we understand the data and try to look at the data and maybe clean it up, and then try to compute certain key metrics and visualizations. Based on the requirements, we need to work on it. I'm trying to keep it simple, and we will try to understand the data first, and maybe try to compute those key metrics step by step. And this is the Jupyter Notebook, and I've already typed up the code to save time. And these are the various metrics which we want to compute, right? So, and in case if you have not installed, try to install Jupyter Notebook. And then if you want to follow along, you can look at the code step by step. So prior to that, in case if you have not learned about pandas, this is the video. You can look at the video and try to understand the basic concepts. And this is the first cell, and I'm trying to import certain libraries there. And I've also using pd.read CSV, I'm trying to load the data and store it in that variable data. And I want to look at the first row in the data. And if you want to run the cell in Jupyter and advanced, you have to click on Shift and Enter. And once I do that, on the right hand side, you can see the first row, and you have those columns which we have already seen earlier. These are the 21 columns. So once we have these things, right? For example, there is a date column and the time column. And when you're using read CSV, there are several parameters it expects. You can use parse dates here. And in case if you know the date column, you can pass those columns in case if you want pandas to recognize them as date. And also you can use the info date time format, etc., and give the format, whatever format the date is in. But in this case, what I thought is we'll keep it simple. In the next cell, as you can see, I have created two variables, date column and time column. And once I have those columns, and once I go to the next step, I will try to change them into a date time format. As shown here, I will change the data type of these two columns here. Let me click on that cell. And this is how you can change the data type. And you have to use pd.to_datetime and pass the column there. And in case needed, you have to add the format as well. As you can see, its format is year, month, day. And error is equal to course will be helpful in case if you have some kind of error in the original data when the date is not in that format which you're trying to look for. Like, for example, in this case, year, month, day, right? Some of the column values are not in that format. That error is equal to course will help you. Similarly, for the time column, I have hour, minute, and second. That's the format I'm looking at. And once I run that cell, my two columns, date and time, will be in my date time format. Pandas expects that, right? That's converted that, no errors. And next is we will try to use the values of date column and time column and create new columns. For example, I'm creating a R column by using dt dot. As you can see, you have several options there. dt dot R will extract the R from the time column. Similarly, day of the week, day name, month name, etc. And also I've created a is weekend column as well. So and once I use those options here, like week day is greater than 5 will be the weekend. So that's how I've used that cell. Once I run that, I have those columns ready. And also I want to create certain bins, right? So for example, you have your time there. And I want to create certain bins so that I have for early morning, afternoon, and evening. I have used those hours from the time column, and I've created this time bin column as shown. I'm using pd.cut. So let me just show you what that function is. And pd.cut. So these are the expected parameters, and it will use cut when you need to segment and sort data values into certain bins. That's what we wanted, right? Because we have 0 to 24 hours there. So I want to use this option and pass the hour column there and use the bins, which I have already created those variables up top, as you can see. So this way I have a new column that will be time bin. Once I shift enter, I have those columns also ready. And also I want to add more columns here. For example, I have used certain conditions here so that like shown on the right, we want to compute those metrics, right? So we want to look at completed rides, canceled by customer, canceled by driver, etc. So I'm creating those columns based off of certain conditions here. For example, completed ride data, if booking status is equal to completed, that will be the completed ride, and booking status equal to cancelled, that will be cancelled by customer, etc. Once I look at the data again, for example, data.head, as you can see, these are the various columns there. So as like I said, there is a booking status column, and there are certain matching conditions which I am looking for. For example, if I say that if data booking status is equal to completed, and I want to create that new column there, completed ride. So I'm using those conditions there, right? So as you can see, for completed ride, booking status is equal to completed, and I'm casting that as an integer, the first line. And similarly for the second one, cancelled by customer, I'm using booking status equal to cancelled by the customer, etc. So those are the 4 new columns which I'm going to create. As you can see there, booking status has different values. And also I want to compute the completed rides booking value times the data completed. So that will give me my revenue for the completed rides. So these are the very simple codes. In case if you want, you can pause the video and look at the code, and it's self-explanatory. And once I am happy here, I can shift enter so that these 4 columns also are computed for us. They are being added to the original data column. Let me remove this cell and let me use shift enter. And once I do that, I have my columns as well. So let me look at sample. Say I can see look at different values. I can add any integer value there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. So I want to see random samples so that I'll understand the data better, right? Since I've already created several columns here, let me look at the sample. Let me add a number there, sample 5, and run it. These are the sample 5 rows from my data. As you can see, we have also added a lot of columns. So those columns are appearing on the right side as well. So I'm okay now. Everything is working good so far. And next is we have to understand the data, right? So unless until you understand the data, you'll not be able to create meaningful reports or do a good ADA. So let me look at the data.head. So data.head also expects an integer. I can add any number there. By default, it's 5. And if I run this, I have my first 5 rows. And in case if I want to look at the shape, I can use this property. Data.shape will give me my rows first and columns next. So 150,000 rows and 30 columns. And we started originally with 21 columns. We have added 9 columns along the way, so that it will be easy for us to compute the various metrics. And next, if I look at the next cell, info will give you the structure of the data. It will give you what are the data types of all the columns, and also the memory usage, etc. So it will give you a concise summary of your data. So let me run that. Shift enter. Once I run that, on the right you can see these are the various columns. It will count if there are any null values, and it will also spill out the data type as well. So you have your floats and objects and booleans, etc., as you can see. And it will also give you, in addition to data types, it will also give you the memory usage. In this case, we are using 30 plus MB memory. And describe will give you the summary statistics, like in case if you have your columns like numeric and also string data, you can use this describe function, and it will give you the summary statistics like count, mean, min, the percentile, 25, 50, 75, max, and standard deviation for the numeric columns. If you run this, you have those values as well. So this is pretty cool, and it is pretty good for us to understand the data. Now that we have a bit of handle on the data, we understand that. So let us start computing all the key metrics here. So as you can see, we wanted to find out the total bookings. And these are the various cells which I've already typed up to save time. So let me just pull that window out and start looking at the first cell, total bookings. I'm trying to use the length function over the data. And if I run this cell, I should get 150,000 rows. That's perfect. That is the total bookings. Similarly, I want to next compute the total booking value. And if I look at the code here, I'm using the booking value column. And if I use the dot notation, I have several options. I can get, say, count, sum, min, max, median, etc. Right? Those are all the functions, properties which are available. Those functions are available for me. And if I use the min method, I'll get the min of value from that column. So in this case, I want to compute the sum. So this is the method I'm going to use. Once I run this cell, shift enter, I have my total value on the right. So this is the total value in that particular column, booking value. And similarly, like we have already seen, I can next find out the average booking value, which is nothing but mean. Similarly, average distance is the rate distance dot mean will give me the mean distance. So I mean, it's pretty easy so far, right, for us to compute. So next is I want to count whoever paid by cash after the write. So I have the payment method column. So I'm using this. Let me just show you that column there. So there is a payment method column there. So we want to use a certain matching condition and find out the number of riders who paid by cash. So let me just go to that cell there, and let me just scroll down. I can count paid by cash. So data, if you see the inner square brackets inside, data payment method equal to cash, I want to compute that. So let me just use data.head again and see the columns here. Let me scroll to the right, and here is the payment method. So there are various methods, right? So debit card, cash, etc. I want to extract only the cash part there. So let me just delete this thing. In case if I want, I can use payment method dot value counts. That way I'll understand what type of payment methods are there. I'll also get the value counts for that. As you can see, there are five types of methods, including cash. So 25,367 is by cash. So I want to extract that part there. Like for example, paid by cash variable. I want to save that. I am using length function, and that matching condition will give me the number of count of people who paid by cash. If I run that, I have my variable stored, the value stored in that variable paid by cash. Perfect. Let me just run that part here. it is 25,637, right? And if I run that, that value should be there, 25,367, sorry, 25,367. This is perfect. So we have started computing all the metrics, so it's pretty easy so far. And similarly, I want to calculate booking by cash percentage. All I need to do is divide paid by cash, total bookings divided by total bookings times 100 will give me that percentage, 16.91. I can format and make sure that that is percentage wise. And again, I want to create a variable and store weekend data. As we have already created a weekend column, there is weekend. So let me just go and try to show you that part, data dot, and let me look at the top three rows again. And as you can see, those are the top three rows. And as we have seen, there is a is weekend column. So I want to use that is weekend column in the next cell code block. Let me just go ahead and try to maybe remove this cell. Let me cut it. And I want to create a variable and store weekend data. So weekend data is if data is weekend, that will be stored in that variable weekend data. And I want to calculate total weekend revenue. So I'm using the weekend data and I'm calculating the sum. We've already seen that kind of code earlier. And once I shift enter, I have that value. So over the weekend, this is the booking value. So this is pretty cool. And next is, let me make sure that this is correct. Perfect. And let me try to run the weekend data again. So these are the weekend data. Matched by the condition, only the weekend data is being shown. And since we wanted to compute the revenue during the weekend, that's how we have arrived at that value. So this is also done. And next is I want to store only the completed rides, right? So I have used that code there, data completed rides dot sum. If you remember, in the original data, there is a column there, completed ride. So, and also I want the revenue for the completed rides. And also I wanted average rating by customer. So if you look at the code closely, it's pretty easy. We have already seen those average. We have calculated average distance and revenue, right? Similarly, we are trying to calculate the average rating and by customer and driver. And also we want to compute the success rate. So once I run this code here, I should be able to get all those 5 values there. And like as shown here, we want to find out all those things, right? I think after I run this, all these metrics have been computed. So let me run this. I have those values ready. So as shown here, let me make sure that those things are already computed. So I have only 3 other key metrics to be computed. And for that, I need to create certain variables. And these are the variables which I'm going to use in my visualization. So I'm using group by. I'm grabbing 2 columns from my data and I'm trying to compute the mean ride distance. So and store that in the monthly average. And monthly average, month day, there is a column. I want to create that column by using the month name from monthly average data and also the day of the week. That will be my month day. And for daily bookings, I'm trying to group by date by size and reset the index. And the new column name will be count. That will be the daily bookings variable. And for vehicle success, I want to group by vehicle type and completed ride dot mean. That will be my new variable there. Let me just expand this. And similarly, I want to compute the revenue for completed rides. Will be again data completed ride equal to 1. You remember that the completed ride column. So I want to grab only when the value is 1 and group by payment method and booking value. I want to compute that revenue for completed rides, and cancel reasons by customer, same concept, and I'm getting the value counts. And for the next cancel reasons by driver, I'm using cancel driver equal to 1 and value counts of driver cancellation reason. And the last variable will be total bin booking value, group by time bin, and booking value that count. So I have these variables ready. So if I shift and enter, these variables will be used in the visualizations. So let me use shift enter. Those variables are ready. And next is I can maybe pull up one variable from there, and in a new cell, let me run that monthly average, shift enter. These are the values in that variable. And similarly, let me randomly pick maybe daily bookings, copy that, replace this here and shift enter. I have these values. Similarly, let me pick up time bin booking value. So this way you will also know those values within those variables as shown here: early morning, afternoon, evening, night, in the time bin booking value. So that's cool. We have created several variables as well. And next is pivot table as shown here. Let me make sure that let us read what the pivot table is. It creates a spreadsheet style pivot table as a data frame, and it expects various parameters. And fundamentally, you need to give data, which we have already given, and you want to give the index. I have picked up two columns from my data, and also for the values, ride distance and booking value. And aggregation function, I am trying to get the mean, the average ride distance and average booking value. And if I run this, I have those values up there. I'm looking at only the sample 3 of them. Mean, you can replace mean with sum or count or whatever based on your needs, but I just wanted to get the mean ride distance and booking value. So this is how you get a pivot table. And every time you run that, those values are changing because this is, you're using sample, right? Perfect. And next is I'm using a crosstab. And crosstab is a very powerful function in Pandas. It creates a basic cross tabulation table as shown here. And I'm using booking status and vehicle type and using multiplier there. And as shown here, let me look at the definition of this function, and it will compute a simple cross tabulation of 2 or more factors as shown here in the definition. And those are the two things which I am using: booking status and vehicle type. Normalize equal to index, and if I multiply by 100, I wanted that as a percentage. I'm rounding it off to 2 digits, and once I shift enter, I have those values there. So index is booking status and the first column, and you have your vehicle types on the top, and every type of vehicle you understand the different percentages. So this is pretty handy. In case if you want to use, you can use that in any visualization so that you'll understand the data better. And let me just start looking at the visualizations as shown here. I'm using Plotly and Express, and this is the data monthly average. We have already seen earlier monthly average, and x value is month day, and ride distance is the y value. And it's a simple thing. And in case if I look at monthly average again, these are the various values in that. I'm using for x month day, and for y value I'm using the ride distance as shown on the right side. I gave a title and gave a labels, etc. It's all, I mean, in case if you start using Plotly, you'll understand better. It's a little bit lengthy, the code, but these are the fundamental things. By using these kind of coding notations, you will be able to create a line chart. And I want to update the layout as well. If I shift enter, I should be able to see the line chart on the right. And I have made sure that the x-axis is not shown. And if you hover over any data point, it is giving you month, day, and the right distance. It's pretty cool. This way also you can see the data, visualize whatever you want to look at. You can visualize that in this kind of line chart. And similarly, let me just go ahead and make sure that to remove this cell. And next is I'm trying to look at a line chart based off of daily bookings data. And similarly, I can look at another chart, bar chart, by using the way data from vehicle success and the values and success index. So let me make sure that to run this here, and let me add it and see what is there in daily bookings. Let me copy that and look at that variable. As you can see, there is a date and count. So I'm using for x-axis date and for the y-axis the count, and I gave a title and I gave the labels. And if I shift and enter, I have my visualization the right. So this way you will know what are the daily bookings. Hover over any data point, you can see the number of bookings as well. So let me make sure to delete this cell here. Similarly, I can also copy this variable vehicle success and maybe look at that variable values, shift enter, and I have this vehicle type and the success rate. So I am trying to create a bar chart here. And this looks a little bit confusing in case if you have not used Plotly, but if you start using Plotly, these things will be easily, you will be able to understand the code. And once I run this part here, shift enter, I should be able to get that right success rate by vehicle type as a percentage. Let me shift enter here. I should be able to get that part, so that whenever you hover over any data point as shown here, those values are shown, and success rate is on the x-axis. So it's pretty cool. And I'm using for x vehicle success dot values. Those are the values there. And for the y success vehicle success rate, so this the vehicle type as well. So let me just make sure that to delete this and the final chart will be the pie chart. And for status counts, I'm using booking status. Let me just look at the booking status. Booking status, that is a column in our data. Dot value counts. Once I run that, I'll understand what is there here. Completed are 93,000, cancelled by driver, etc. So I have the value counts of booking status. So what I've done is I've used the value counts and stored it in a variable called as status counts. And I've used a pie chart where I'm using for values. I'm using the status count values dot values. And the names will be status counts dot index. That means completed, cancel, etc. will be the index as shown on the right side. All those things are visible. You can play around, click on any of those variable status and click on cancel by driver, no driver found, incomplete, etc. So I think in a short time we could understand the data and create certain variables and visualizations, etc. So this is a basic EDA, and I've just made it simple. And in the next video, I will try to show you a step-by-step code where I've created a Streamlit app using these learned concepts.